I mean, they have done a lot of those things. But also, I love your argument. They're like, good on them. They could have done something worse.
It's normal.
Yeah. I love the bit with Russell Crowe.
I own this country.
I own this country. Although technically he lost half of it in the divorce. And they were lucky to get Chris Hemsworth too, because he doesn't do a lot of ads. Except for Foxtel, Jacobs Creek, the AFL, Tag Watches and Hugo Boss. This is a pretty star-studded affair. Claire, you actually did some PR for this campaign. How hard was it to keep it a secret?
It's difficult when you want to talk about how you've been hanging out with Chris Hemsworth, even if you haven't. And the fact is that there are hundreds of people that would have been involved in making this happen, both here and stateside. And yet, I am not surprised that there was no leak. And I think the reason is because when people are in the inner sanctum of a secret, they feel pretty special. It's like a game. They have their role and they're waiting with anticipation to see how it's going to play out. And therefore, it's a safe space and people don't want to ruin that for anyone else. But I also think that you've got to remember this is about Australia. And if this campaign goes well, then we're going to get visitation from the US over here. It will help our economy and it will make this a more awesome country. And that's always front of mind.
They kept it secret for 18 days. That's remarkable in today's world with transparency. I couldn't believe it. I think the target marketing's clever. So we spent the last decade trying to get middle-class Chinese here, and now almost 50% of the tourist dollar is Asian. And so they decided we want to get the Americans. And they're not going for volume, because that's very difficult to do at the distance. They're going for high yield of people. And I think it's a clever strategy that they're using.
The fake trailer was a massive viral hit. Some of Tourism Australia's follow-up spots have had around 1,000 views. Russell, has Tourism Australia dropped the ball?
Well, what we know is that it's working. Yeah, so we know that the campaign worked, and then you hear that there is incoming revenue coming into Australia. So you'd have to say no, they haven't dropped the ball. But what I think is really interesting is what happens next. So they've set the bar very, very high that we want to entertain Americans on Super Bowl day. So what is going to happen in 2019 on Super Bowl day? And what's going to happen in 2020 on Super Bowl day? That's the follow-up that I think's more interesting, and I'm assuming that they're planning something awesome right now.
Tourism advertising works off the simple conversion funnel. So you have sell the dream, and then you move them down from awareness, consideration, and then purchase. So they now need to focus down the meaty end of it all, which is purchase, getting them to actually go. And that involves everything. That involves partnerships, airlines, hotels, deals, all being sent there.
The standard travel journey starts with, dreaming, planning, booking, visiting, and then sharing. Because because of our social media habits, we want other people to experience what we've experienced. The dreaming, that spot focuses mainly on the dreaming phase, and I completely agree. The video piece sits somewhere much, much further down the funnel, and it's one stream. It's there as content to help educate people on things that they might be able to do, but it could be something they're just not interested in at all.
And it's unfortunate that it's cultural cringe that's what has prevented us from getting here, and it's taken us so long, because how we see ourselves is very different to how we should market us to people to get them to come here. We see ourselves as sophisticated, eclectic, creative, and the Americans can go to Paris for that, or they can go to New York and stay there for the city, or they've got lots of good beaches. But for once, they focused on this sort of unique, beautiful larrikin nature of Australia, and they just embraced it.
Yeah, it's exploiting assets. Obviously, Dundee's an amazing asset. So maybe we could do Mad Max next year.
I'm not sure that you want to go to the Mad Max version of Australia. Book your post-apocalyptic holiday. Down under. Yeah, there's so many things to do. Thunderdome. There was one thing missing in the Crocodile Dundee reboot. Crocodiles. The trailer has fish, kangaroos and water buffalo. There's this line.